Have you ever wondered why an entire book of the Bible is called Numbers and whether it's just about counting people? What if I told you that this ancient text contains some of the most dramatic stories, controversial laws, and mysterious rituals that shaped an entire civilization? Today we're diving deep into the book of Numbers, and trust me, it's way more fascinating than you think. The book of Numbers sits as the fourth book in both the Hebrew Bible and Christian Old Testament, serving as a crucial bridge between the dramatic exodus from Egypt and the promised entry into the land of Canaan. But here's where it gets interesting. The English name Numbers actually comes from the two major censuses described in the text, while the Hebrew title Bamidbar means in the wilderness, which perfectly captures the true essence of this remarkable journey. Picture this. You're leading over 2 million people through a harsh desert for nearly 4 decades. There's no GPS, no supply chains, and definitely no customer service hotline when things go wrong. This is exactly the monumental challenge Moses faced, and the book of Numbers chronicles every dramatic twist and turn of this incredible wilderness wandering. The book opens with God commanding Moses to conduct a military census of all Israelite men aged 20 and above who could serve in the army. The numbers are staggering: over 600,000 fighting men, which suggests a total population exceeding 2 million people when you include women, children, and the elderly. But this wasn't just about headcounts, it was about organization, tribal identity, and preparing for the conquest of the Promised Land. Each of the 12 tribes received specific assignments for their camp positions around the sacred tabernacle. The Levites, chosen as the priestly tribe, were strategically placed closest to the tabernacle, creating a protective barrier between the holy sanctuary and the rest of the community. This arrangement wasn't random, it represented a divine order that emphasized both worship and military readiness. Now here's where things get really interesting. The book of Numbers introduces us to some of the most complex and controversial laws in the entire Bible. Take the ritual of the red heifer, for example. This ceremony involved burning a perfect red cow along with cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet thread to create ashes used for purification from corpse contamination. Modern readers might find this bizarre, but it served a crucial purpose in maintaining ritual purity in a community where death was ever present. But the real drama begins when the Israelites reach the edge of the Promised Land and send 12 spies to scout the territory. 10 of these spies return with terrifying reports of giant inhabitants and fortified cities, while only Joshua and Caleb maintain faith in God's promise to give them the land. The people's reaction? Complete panic and rebellion against Moses and God himself. This moment marks one of the most pivotal turning points in Jewish history. God's response to their lack of faith was swift and decisive. The entire generation that witnessed the miracles in Egypt would die in the wilderness over the next 40 years. Only their children, along with the faithful Joshua and Caleb, would enter the Promised Land. Talk about consequences for your choices. The wilderness years weren't just about wandering aimlessly. Numbers records numerous rebellions, divine judgments, and miraculous provisions. Remember the story of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram who challenged Moses' authority? The earth literally opened up and swallowed them alive, along with their families and possessions. When the people complained about this harsh judgment, God sent a plague that killed 14,700 more people before Aaron's intercession stopped the destruction. Then there's the fascinating episode of the bronze serpent. When venomous snakes invaded the camp as punishment for the people's complaints, God instructed Moses to create a bronze serpent and mount it on a pole. Anyone bitten by a snake could look at the bronze serpent and live. This story later became a powerful symbol referenced by Jesus himself in the New Testament, showing how ancient events carried deeper spiritual meanings. One of the most intriguing characters in Numbers is Balaam, a non-Israelite prophet hired by the Moabite king Balak to curse Israel. But here's the twist: every time Balaam opened his mouth to curse, blessings came out instead. God had literally put a divine override on his speech. The story gets even more dramatic when Balaam's donkey starts talking to rebuke him for his greed and disobedience. Yes, you heard that right, a talking donkey with better spiritual discernment than a professional prophet. The book also introduces us to some remarkable women who changed the course of history. The daughters of Zelophehad boldly approached Moses to demand inheritance rights since their father died without sons. Their courage led to new laws about female inheritance, demonstrating that even in ancient patriarchal societies, justice and progress were possible when people had the courage to speak up. Numbers reveals fascinating details about ancient worship practices too. The daily sacrificial system, festival celebrations, and purification rituals paint a picture of a community where the sacred and mundane were deeply intertwined. Every aspect of life had spiritual implications, from what you ate to how you handled death and disease. The second census, conducted near the end of the 40-year period, shows some surprising demographic shifts. Some tribes had grown significantly while others had decreased, reflecting the complex dynamics of survival, faith, and divine blessing during those wilderness years. The Levites, who weren't counted in military censuses, maintained their unique role as spiritual leaders and tabernacle guardians. As the book concludes, we see a new generation preparing to cross the Jordan River into their inheritance. The final chapters deal with practical matters like tribal boundaries, cities of refuge for accidental killers, and inheritance laws. But beneath these administrative details lies a profound truth: this new generation had learned from their parents' mistakes and was ready to trust God in ways the previous generation couldn't. The Book of Numbers offers timeless lessons about faith, leadership, consequences, and divine faithfulness. It shows us that even when people fail spectacularly, God's purposes ultimately prevail. The wilderness wasn't just punishment, it was preparation. It transformed a group of slaves into a nation ready to inherit their destiny. What makes Numbers particularly relevant today is its honest portrayal of human nature. These weren't superhuman heroes but real people struggling with fear, doubt, and disappointment. Their failures and victories mirror our own spiritual journeys, reminding us that faith is often tested in the wilderness seasons of life. The book's emphasis on organization, accountability, and communal responsibility also speaks to modern leadership challenges. Moses' burden of leading millions of people offers insights into delegation, crisis management, and maintaining vision during difficult seasons. Whether you approach Numbers as religious text, historical document, or literary masterpiece, its impact on world civilization is undeniable. Its stories, laws, and principles have influenced legal systems, moral codes, and spiritual practices for thousands of years. So the next time someone dismisses the Book of Numbers as just ancient record-keeping, remind them they're missing out on one of history's most dramatic survival stories. It's got everything: rebellion, miracles, talking animals, divine judgments, and ultimately, the triumph of faithfulness over fear. Now that's what I call compelling ancient literature with modern relevance. What aspect of Numbers surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating biblical texts.